Are you ready? Because I have a lot in store for you for this video. Not only are you going to get a peek inside of a fairly new language arts curriculum for 5th grade, but I'm also going to let you know a little bit about some of the other curriculums we've tried. And if you have an ADHD child, or a very active child, or a child who lacks focus, you need to hear this, so stick around. I think you'll be both informed and entertained. I have tried so many language arts programs for my middle child, and I think I finally landed on one. So I want to tell you about them. I want to tell you just a smidge about what I know about the other ones and why they didn't work for us, because if you have a child like mine, this is going to be helpful information. But first, coffee. Now let's go talk. If you're returning to my channel, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're new, I want to introduce myself. My name is Rachel, and I am a homeschooling mom to 3, a 1st grader, a 5th grader, and an 8th grader. This is my 6th year homeschooling. We have tried a lot of curriculums. But before we get into all of that, I really want to get to know my viewers better. So please, leave me a comment below and let me know what year homeschooling are you in and what language arts curriculums have you tried in the past. Now let's get started. We started out with My Father's World Kindergarten. I also tried Abeka Kindergarten. I switched to Logic of English. Here was the problem with Logic of English. It was very teacher intensive for me, and I had a toddler. I had a son who needed more and more in my help, and I was growing weary of how long the lessons were taking. Also, the thing with Logic of English that made it appealing, it was reading, it was grammar, it was spelling, it was vocabulary, it was writing, it was all the things wrapped up into one pretty curriculum. Well, if you have a child with challenges, learning challenges, it's kind of like, how do you move on to the next lesson when they're ready in one part of the lesson, but they're struggling with another aspect of the lesson? I found this to be true with spelling for my daughter. We had butted heads so many times with spelling. To be honest, this was the start of when I realized that she may have a learning disability, because it was just unreal how she could do everything else except spelling, and it was tears. The other thing with Logic of English is there was a lot of games, and she wanted to get to the games, but there was also a lot of sit down and flashcards and all of that, and she just wanted to get up and jump up and down all the time. Again, that probably wasn't an issue with Logic of English as much as it was her ADHD that I didn't understand at the time. I didn't realize it. I tried Spell to Read and Write.
Or Spell to Write and Read, which one is it? It's one of those.
This was one that Classical Conversations had kind of recommended. It is very similar to Logic of English, except very teacher intensive. In fact, it was very difficult for me to even figure out how to teach it. They offer a 3-day parent seminar to learn, if that's any clue. I landed on Living Language Lessons for Living Education, recommended by one of my friends, and I did this the year before my daughter joined the Essentials program for Classical Conversations. I loved the language lessons, but we knew we were doing Essentials and we were only going to be doing it until that program started. So the Classical Conversations program, which is called the Essentials program, they utilize Classical Conversations grammar, and then they use Institute for Excellence in Writing for the writing program. So here's the thing about the Classical Conversations Essential program. It's a very good program. I was an essentials tutor for a couple years and I loved it. I felt like I learned a ton. My oldest child did very well in it. However, ADHD is a whole different story. If you have a child who can't sit still, who can't focus for very long, who is very squirrely, sitting in class for 2 hours at the end of the day and absorbing what you're supposed to be absorbing. She did like some aspects of it because they do play games in there where they get the kids up and going, but the sitting part, sitting for very long, it just ain't her thing. Those hours in there with her, they were difficult. She didn't want to listen, she wanted to draw, she didn't want to sit still, and she really wasn't getting much out of class, so I was having to do a lot of it at home. I shouldn't say it wasn't working. One of the ladies in our community had written a bunch of songs for all of the charts. My daughter learned all these songs long before she did essentials, so I felt like she knew the charts pretty well from the songs. However, this year I still really kept thinking back to the language lessons and for living education, and I just wanted to do it again. There's two things you need to know about curriculum. It needs to work for a child, and it also needs to work for mama. And although I love the Essentials program for classical conversations, I don't love doing it with this particular child. Also, stick around until the end of my video. I'm gonna try something new this time, and I'm going to add all kinds of bloopers at the end. You have to consider as a mom, how much teacher-intensive work are you able to put in? You may not be able to put in an hour a day with each child, and if you have a child that needs a lot of your attention, you definitely need to consider this. So I turned to language lessons for a living education a couple years ago. We tried it before the Essentials program, and I really liked it because it was a lot of very short lessons, but very effective. No two lessons were the same, so it went through different ideas, and it maybe reviewed them every week, but every day was just a little bit different, which you'll see when we do the flip through here. Because it's short lessons, you can also add on the other things that your child may need to concentrate more or practice a little bit more on. For example, my daughter really needs help with spelling, so I have an additional spelling curriculum for her. I use a reason for spelling. I researched a lot of spelling curriculums. Again, she's ADHD, she has a hard time focusing, she wants everything to be fun.
Trying to be a fun mom. Can't always be a fun mom. Sometimes we just need to get the work done.
So I really looked hard for a curriculum that mixed it up, that made everything new, that wasn't redundant for her, because if it's boring, she doesn't want to do it. I also have a first grader who is using the language lessons for living education level 1. So it is not just a curriculum made for ADHD. Any child can use it, and it is effective either way. So you're really looking for the subject with no fluff, and you're looking for what did the subject do. So read this sentence.
The excited boy asked for a piece of pie.
So what is the simple subject?
Boy.
Yep, so underline boy. What did the boy do?
Asked.
Yep, so what are you gonna do?
Circle it.
Yep. So if you're not jumping into the shower, what are you actually doing?
Well, I'm taking a shower.
Yeah, you're getting into the shower. You're not jumping into the shower.
I need slip.
Okay, so write what you're actually doing. I will get into the shower. You promise you'll go get into the shower?
Right now?
So here it is, and it does not come spiral bound. It actually comes like book bound, I think it's called. I took this to Office Depot and had them cut the binding off because we've used this before, and I wanted this to be able to lay flat when my daughter's working on her worksheets. And with the book bound, you know, you kind of get this effect sometimes. And so anyway, we also like being able to flip it to one page. This is the first lesson. There's oral narration practice. There's teacher's notes on every lesson. You can see this says lesson 1. This is obviously day 1. This is actual day 1 activities. She's going to be learning about analogies. This was one thing I was really excited about this level, was introducing my daughter to some poetry. So I'm hoping we get to do a lot of poetry reading this year. The teacher's prompts, the reminder to do independent reading. See instructions for independent reading in the front of the book, which I've already had cut out and put into my own little teacher's binder. And this is day 2 exercise. So write a proper noun for each common noun. So she'll be learning the difference between proper and common. Imperative, declarative, exclamatory, and interrogative. Okay, so day 4, this is copy Mark 5:36, the second part. You're using this in conjunction with 101 favorite stories from the Bible. So this book needs to be purchased separately for that. This is saying we're turning to page 156 and 157 in this book. And so this is what she'll be referring to. So walking on water. There's the story. So she's going to look up the memory verse and memorize it. And then it says, copy the picture on page 157 and color your picture. So she's going to use her artistic skills and do her best to copy this picture. These pictures take into consideration, as you can tell, lots of colors and shadows. We'll see how much patience she has for that. She didn't have a whole lot of patience for it when we did this when she was in 3rd grade. But it is adding a little bit of art here. And if I sit down and do it with her, she's actually more inclined to give it a try. And then copy the caption from page 157. Peter cries, Lord save me. Day 5 is spelling rules. So then we've got a picture study here and more observation skills. What does the picture, where does the picture take place? How many people are in the picture? Are you sure you found them all? Look again. So teaching them about how to pay attention to details, descriptive writing, nouns, plural nouns, adding S's, apostrophe S's, simple subject and simple predicate, idioms and funny sentences. This is what I wasn't sure, to be honest, how this was included in the gather round homeschool units, and I would just want to make sure. So once I get a couple gather round units under my belt, maybe I'll see that I don't really know this, but this curriculum is also very cost effective. I think it was $30-something. I bought it from christianbooks.com. If you use a lot of Masterbooks curriculum, I think you can be rewarded for being loyal to them. This is the only Masterbooks curriculum I've purchased so far. America the Beautiful. Were there any words you didn't understand? I love this. I would love to be able to do a hymn study with my children. And hymns are so rich in vocabulary, not to mention the meaning, but going through them and talking about what does it mean God shed his grace on me. Let's think about that vocabulary. God shed. What is shed? And the Bible says that Jesus shed his blood. So this is obviously a Christian perspective. Ooh, choose a spelling word, a favorite verse or quote, and make word art. That sounds like fun. I just like the variety here, and I like how for each day, day 21, there's just one simple worksheet. It is not cumbersome, but it's practice. And so my daughter, again, has ADHD, so her attention span is short. We need to get up frequently. We need to change our position. We need to just shift gears in our brain. Okay, so let's shift to the back of this book and see where we end up. So we've got a picture study again. Describe the people in this painting. Write a sentence using that. Write a sentence using these. So these are supposed to be tricky words, tricky prepositions, and using them correctly. Write a sentence using a prepositional phrase of time, of location, of movement. Prepositions that refer to time, at, on, in, by. We're learning the prefixes deci, poly, kilo, anti, multi, milli, auto. You can't learn other languages if you don't even understand your own language. Homophones, more idiom fun. I'm all ears. Writing a letter or addressing an envelope. Ooh, name a collective noun. So this looks like a little test. Name at least 3 adjectives. Name at least 3 articles. Name an adverb. So what do you like about language lessons for living education?
I like that it's not too easy and it's not too hard. It's medium and it's fun. So we used to do CC Essentials, and language lessons is just like that. So it's kind of like a review for me.
Well, you haven't learned idioms before.
Yeah, that part was hard.
What do you think? Why do you think it's fun?
Because sometimes there's this thing and it gives you a picture in these scriptures and you have to draw the picture if you want to. So I like to draw the picture with a pencil and then color with watercolors.
Yeah. Okay.
This
What is that?
This is Jesus' hand grabbing Peter's hand because they were in a boat and there was a storm. So Jesus was walking on the water and Peter says, "Lord, if it is you, tell me to come to you." And Jesus said, "Come." And Peter was walking on water until he was losing his faith. So he started to sink, and that's what I drew. The reason why I like watercoloring is because you can blend all the different colors. It kind of looks weird over here and there though.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a picture too, but I don't know where it is.
Do you like language lessons?
Yes,
What do you like about it?
I like that, just like Natalie said, it's not too hard and it's not too easy. It's just right and it's fun to do it every single day. And
Yeah.
write and learn new words and spell and read.
Yep. It's just the perfect length, isn't it? Doesn't take too long.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Are you gonna switch? Not convinced? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you can see the next time I upload a video. So I am always that was really complicated. Whatever. Whatever. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.